I'm going to hand over to Eugene Tong, who is the newly elected president of the Malaysian Students' Society. Congratulations, Eugene. So Eugene is going to be taking all of you through the next stages so that you are really clear on what you need to do when planning, organising.
All right, thanks, Renee. So welcome everyone, welcome. So I'm Eugene, as Renee has been saying. I'm the president of MSS. We run the MSS night markets every year. This year we have one of the biggest events in Tuisa. We have 1,200 people coming over the tonight. We've just the team of three, me, Grace, and Ben. I'm also the new Tuisa student leader, as well as student leader from UTAS as well. So I'm always organizing events, planning events, and make it happen. So let's start. You guys have plenty of idea right now on your table. And let's make it into the plan. Yeah, so look at this. This is a big mess of a table that we have for our society this year. As you can see, this is what we do. When you have a new community members that coming in, you have to gather everyone, sit down, spend some time at the start of the year, plan what do you want to do throughout the year. For example, what we do, the first thing we do is the Club and Society Day. We do welcoming dinner. We do a games days, board games days, and you can see who is in charge of what, physical, online, do we do collaborations? Yes, we do a lot of collaborations. We do like with the LCC, we do with the PPIA there, and we do a lot of collaborations with society and always a good outcomes. And you can, after you finish everything, you can tell this one, the badminton games day, why is it in red? Because it's cancer. So you have to track back, why do you cancel it? Because we don't have enough people down here. And during what happened here, during this time, we are planning for our night markets. Or you can go down, you can see the plan. The night market is here. We have big events, karaoke nights, and you even have an international society ball. However, that wasn't happen. We changed to something more interesting. We changed to a cruise dinner. Oh, yeah. So with this, a lot of things, we make it happen. What we call event planning timeline, because we have two big events this year, as you notice, our night markets and the cruise dinner. So we always organize ourselves because we need to understand everyone here are uni students. We are not only committed to our society, we need to study. We need to get HD, we need to get distinction, we need to get good grades. So don't expect that your community member will give you the work the next week or the next day when you want it. Always plan further ahead. You can tell the event is happening on August. Why do I start planning on February? Because you need time. You need to get Ingrid, you need to get Sylvia to reply to you. They have 130 society and getting more right now to handle. So why we need to give them extra time? So next, after the night market event meetings, which just now that one, then we have our plannings and another plannings for another event. So two events happening at the same time. You have to also given the fact that there's exam happening here, there's mixed semester break happening here. So all of the facts you have to remember in your mind when you do this event planning. But this is only for if you want to plan a big event, but there's also small event that happens in between. So it's okay not to stick to, it's okay for your small event, you don't need to make a big plan, but it's also okay, it's also good that if you have this to keep track if you are missing anything or you have lost track or somewhere you've gone. So what's next? Yeah. So what happened next? Budgeting. Budgeting is very important in every event. Why? We need to propose to Tuisa. Proposing to Tuisa is difficult. We need to tell them how much are you spending. I think this was covered during the treasurer yesterday, but treasurer is about the whole society. But if you break down to one by one, this is what we got for our night markets. you have to list down everything you're spending, your incomes, your expenses. Are you earning money? Are you losing money? Are you over budgeting? Everything you have to list down. Like what we do here, we paid a deposit to our hiring team, but unfortunately the amount was too big that MSS couldn't take over, so we hand over the bill to TUSA. So how do you discuss with them? You need to ask TUSA on how much are you spending, give them the invoice, discuss with Ingrid about the payments. So that sort of things that we have to do when organizing big events. What else? Yeah, so this is all about budgeting. It's not working. No, there's one slide. Okay, cool. There's one slide missing, but that's fine. So yeah, so like what Renee has been mentioning just now about the TUSA value. So when you propose to TUSA, you have to be aware that you need to let them know why giving this money, why are they granting this money to you, beneficial them. This is very important. This is a win-win situation. It's all about how you benefit them and benefit your society and your communities. So you have to let them know like, oh, well, I create this night market, why are you granting me this much amount of money? Because I can bring 1,200 students or community down here in Hobart, and more students know what happenings in Hobart, and we are getting all physically back down in here. So what else? You need to think about collaborations. Like what Renee have mentioned, we have a lot of society are doing their individual own event. Okay, so for example, like a Mid-Autumn Festival that happens 2 months ago. So what happened is like UTAS do their own, TUSA have two society, have MSS do our own, and the other society do their own. So what we can do here, we do collaborations. So not long ago for the Mid-Autumn Festival, we collab with 5 society. The turnout was good. We have around 90 people to come to our event. It was in the KPMG buildings. So we think about collaborations. Like for Team MSS, we always collab with Field of Society. We collab with our language student community, Chris. We collab with our PPIA, the Indonesia Society. And we just newly on board, we have a Filipino society that joining us for our collaborations. By having collaborations, your member will get to know each other well and get connected down in Hobart. Hobart is not big. Everyone should get connected to get each other. Connection is very good here. And after a few events, your member definitely know like who's their name from their society. Like I meet UD this year, I meet Chris this year. Like this is all happen between collaborations. This is all happens between networking. So this will benefit no matter you are here in TUSA in studying or after graduations. And the last thing, think about the contingency plans. What happens if COVID hit back and you need a mask? What happens if raining? What happens if my night market happening on August when it was raining? What happens if what is too cold and people don't want to come? So everything you have to list it down when you do your event planning. So now I'll give you there's a 5-minute time. You have a list of events or the idea that you have in your mind in the past 5, 10 minutes or 20 minutes. List out what do you need for your events. List out what equipment or what sort of plannings that you need for your events, and list out all the people, the money that you think you need and you think that you will ask from TUSA in the next 5 minutes. All right? Thank you. All right. That's a lot of discussions going on. That's good. So let's go back to just now a bit. This is what I mean by floor planning. So if you have a big event, floor plan is very important. You need to know what sort of things to get, where to put your locations, what do you need, where's your entrance, where's your exit. You need to remember, COVID is still around. We need to cap the capacities. like this room, how many can we get in here? 110, 150s, depends on the locations. If you don't know, you can just always pop an email to Ingrid, to Sylvia. They will make sure the campus services get back to you. It's very important that, like for example, people can only enter and exit from here or exit from here. So every time they come in or go out, you need to track how many of them are within this area. For example, this area we can have 800 of them, and this is what we plan for our big event. Like, what is the length? Like, how much you need to, if you need to run a cable from here, this is the electric, all the way down here. In what is the extension lead do you need? That sort of things that you need to remember. So when we have everything in mind in your hands, we need to do all the paperwork. Paperwork is very important. It's what they require you to do. You can get all the event application process, application forms, resources, everything on the TUSA website. But right now, we are moving to QPay, and QPay is a very powerful CRM that has everything you need there with all your membership lists. There's a QPay sections training this afternoon. It's very popular, and this is what QPay look like. When you can design your own, like you want it like that. When you're selling your tickets, like everything is editable, as long as you know how the HTML, the website works. So next, I will hand over to Caleb. Caleb is not here. He's up in the north. Caleb is doing all the risk assessment and all the legal stuff. He's an expert in this. Advise him if you guys have anything. So moving forwards, just a quick reminder on top of what Caleb have been discussing. So even your event is not happening on campus, like inside within the university's area, you still need to do your risk assessment, your event applications. All of this you can find in your workbook. That's page 27, event application form. When you do your event application form, you need to submit your risk assessment. It is advised and it's better to you to do this, because without doing your risk assessment and event application, without approval from TUSA, you won't get the insurance covered by TUSA. Anything happens within the events or what, that will go into your society. So save your ass, just do the event applications and do a risk assessments, no matter what, when you have an event. All right, moving forwards, advertising for your events is also another tricky part. I know that where you need to know that where's the best place to market your events. Instagram, Facebook, poster around the universities, all around the campus, city campus, KPMG, Votava buildings, down there in Centenary buildings, where to put your poster. I know it's a bit wasting money and not environmental friendly to print poster, but well, traditional way still works in boosting your event. Also, you need to refer to your goal. Who is your target audience for your events? Like our night markets, we want to reach out to all the community. We want to reach out to not only students, we want to reach out to those like Malaysian student that has Malaysian that graduated, or those local Malaysian that's staying here, or we want to reach out to Sandy Bay community. What we do letter drop. We went to all the houses around the route. We drop a letter. We told them that, oh, we're having this event. That is also another way to advertise your event. What else we do? We spread and we share the news all around WhatsApp, or we do even have a Chinese media team come in within our society to share within the Chinese community. So we get all sort of things running. And we also definitely will notify TUSA, because TUSA website have like the events, what's happening now, what's up next, and links our event page in the Facebook. So that's all sort of things that you have to create to promote your events. Don't be worried, there's a workshop this afternoon. at social science buildings, same place as yesterday. Michelle and Nikki will cover all aspects of social medias. Cool. Any questions? Or any question from just now earlier on, which I forget to ask? All right, cool. What's next? So, when you have everything in your mind, and you got your risk assessment approved, you got your budget approved, you got everything approved, what's next? You have to plan what will need to happen. For example here, this is the event that happens during August. So we can see 2 weeks before the events, we produce this thing out. We put every time, like we have to start at 8:45, what happens during the 8:45, people come in, who is doing what, who are the person in charge. This is very important. The person in charge are very important. Why? What if something happens, who are you referring to? So the main person that doing this actually need to know what's going on with everything. You need to have your equipment checklist. I have sent an email to Sylvia, but what happened if the email never get into her inbox? She has hundreds and thousands of emails to handle weekly. What happens if she never get reply to you? You have to check with her to make sure that she get your request. You need to see, do you need volunteer? Do you need any staff? You need to know if you have volunteer coming in, who are the ones that handling all the volunteers. Be reminded that the volunteer will not work like what you expect. Not everyone have the experience in running events. Not all the volunteers know what to do when doing setup or packing down. And of course, refer to the timeline that you have created earlier to check if you're running behind time or do you need any extra time or whatsoever. So now, we have a 50 minutes activity times, fun time. If you refer to your workbook, on page 14, there's an event planning spreadsheet. So try to fill it in this one. Fill everything in as much as possible to see what sort of things that you are planning for your next year. And after that, go to page 16, 17. So all sort of things is like what I have been saying just now, like the event run sheet, just the big ones. Try to fill it out. You have been given 20 minutes of time. Fill as much as possible. If any questions, just feel free to ask around. Any question before we start the activities? Any? All good. Let's do it. All right, welcome back. Cool. So, what happened 2 weeks before and what happened 24 hours before? That's totally different thing. Not totally. That's something that you have to look into. The checklist is very important, as I was saying just now. Refer to your checklist, equipment checklist, hire store checklist, whatever checklist, like the checklist for this one. The checklist, this one, refer to it. So make sure that your equipment is well, like how you handle it, whether the equipment have been charged. Like what happened for MSS is like the equipment wasn't being charged because like the battery wasn't charged, but then we have a very bad lighting on that day. What happened? We pull out the lights from somewhere else. We have no choice. You need to be aware of everything will be happening on your events. Even like power go off, that thing never work, this thing never work. And you have to double conform with your external contractor. I mean, if you have one, like your power team, your volunteers, if you have photographer, that will be very good. Photographer is always very good because TUSA have their own media team. If you need any help, you can always contact them to prove. And also after that, after you have a photographer, you always can post online. Yeah. And risk assessment. Print out your risk assessment. Why? On the day itself, stand stand on the venue that you're at, tick, 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 tick. The table moves nicely. There's no cable on the chair. The sausages looks good. There's no fire on the barbecue. All of this is covered in your risk assessment. You have to follow the rules when it comes to risk assessments. What if burns the sausage? The sausage is go back, never. What if something happens to a barbecue and it's explode? You know, all of this you have to be aware. And of course, your final checklist. Like what happened on the screen here, you can see on 28th of August, everyone was assigned to do something. Check the gas in the heater. Why? What if there's no gas in the heater? Who knows, right? Sometimes things happen. And check, do you have vouchers? Do you have check-in task? Check-in task is very important. Yeah, check-in task is very important right now when COVID happens. No matter what you do, if you are having an event, you need a check-in task. That's the law, that's the policy. You have to follow it. What else? Yeah, so you have to see like what speakers should be the first thing first. Why? Because you will mess up the cables. We have a lot of cables in Tucson, and speakers is the easiest and yet the difficult things to mess your event up. If you don't know anything about speaker, you can refer to Sylvia. Yeah, extension cable, extension leads, power cord, everything you have to double check and double check. Move on. You have to know who is your primary event coordinator. On the day itself, if your society maybe have a group of 10, group of 5, who will be the one that taking care of everything? Who will be the one if, let's say, the person come in, hey, you are not following the rules, what are you doing? Who will be the one taking care of that? So the person is very important. Normally, the person will need to know everything from the back of your hand. You have all the documentations, all the plans, all the checklists at the back of your hand. You need to know, like for us, because we just work team of 3, every one of 3 of us will know what's happening, and we always share information because we are just a small team. You have to brief your volunteers, tell them on the day itself what to do, like what we have the volunteer today, that's an amazing team. Then they do the mic runnings efficiently, and they do the checklist, everything behind the scene. So another thing, firebox and your first aid kit. This is very important. If you have an outdoor event or you are not having like indoor like these kind of things, be aware that these 2 things, if you're not involved in fire, then no firebox. But first aid is always important when it comes to events. Also, stick to the plan. It's easy to say, it's easy to plan, but it's not easy to stick to the plan. That's the things when you're doing your events. You always run out of times. Like today, we are 5 minutes late when we're starting. We're supposed to start at 9:30, we start 9:35. Right? So what we do, you need to move things forward. You need to know how are you going to move, which one are you going to skip, to make sure that you still happen within the time frame, 2 hours, 3 hours. Stick to the plan and take picture, of course. And after the event finish, remember that you have to do a debrief. If you are a 2-day event, it's always better you do a debrief section with all your communities, all your volunteers. Let them know what's happening, what's doing good, what's doing bad. Even you have a 1-day event, you also need to know. Record down the things that doing bad, improve next time. Record the things that doing good, continue next time. So, and also, in TUSA, we are introducing, if you are having a $1,000 and above grant, you have to report to TUSA. You have to meet them. Yeah, you have to meet them and explain to them what happened during our events, like what happened during our night market. We should have security coming in. Why? Late night, something happens. So that sort of things that we record down and you improve next year's or we have a next event. And don't forget to claim your grants. What happens? There's 130 something society, current society. If you guys just do your last minute job during like this time or last month to claim your grants, there's so many grants, so many claims coming in that you will delay the working speed of TUSA. So be efficient. Always claim it when you finish your event or things happen. Finish your event. All right, thanks for coming.